What if I told you that the beautiful game almost died? Not from shady referees, boring matches, or player scandals, but from spreadsheets. By 2009, over half of Europe's football clubs were hemorrhaging money. But here's the twist. The rules created to save football put the most unlikely people at the center of team success. Not athletes, not managers, accountants. How do you spend $1 billion while technically spending nothing? How do you buy the women's team you already own? And why did one club sign players to 9-year contract commitments? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand how accountants became the most powerful players in the world of football. I'm sorry, I know we're an accounting company, but is that true?
Yeah, that's real.
All right, let's prove it. By the way, I'm Bennington.
And I'm Jason Dial, active CPA.
And this is
Sports Accounting Secrets,
where we break down the smart money moves that help teams win. And if you like following the money as much as following your own team, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with Portsmouth FC. In many ways, their story was a catalyst for major financial reform.
In 2008, they win the FA Cup. But by 2010, paychecks are bouncing. Players and staff aren't getting paid for months. The club owes £68 million, and player wages are 109% of their revenue. Think about that. They're spending more on player salaries than they make in total. Financially, it's unsustainable. Portsmouth got relegated twice, eventually dropped to the 4th division, and had to be rescued by their own fans' money.
This wasn't just Portsmouth. Across Europe, clubs were collapsing. UEFA decided something had to change.
In 2011, UEFA realized more than half of Europe's clubs are losing money. So they introduced financial fair play. England's FA followed suit in 2013 with the profit and sustainability rules.
We tasked our legal team with deciphering the official FFP and PSR documentation. After several weeks of intense legal review, they handed me this piece of paper. You can't spend more than you earn. God, that retainer is so high. Back to you, Jason.
For UEFA, losses were capped at €30 million over 3 years. For the FA, £105 million. What they didn't realize is, if you give football clubs a set of financial rules, they'll hire the smartest accountants to find every single loophole.
One of the simplest ways to exploit the FFP and PSR was by using an accounting tactic created in the Middle Ages: amortization.
In football, amortization allows clubs to spread the transfer fee over the length of their contract. So the longer the contract, the less they owed every year. Chelsea started signing players to 8 and 9-year contracts. Contracts were almost never this long because you're risking committing to a player who could underperform. But for Chelsea, they realized the financial flexibility clearly outweighed the risk.
Another transfer fee loophole was executed most famously by the Italian club Juventus in a scandal known as Plusvalenza, aka capital gains.
Juventus was caught inflating player values in swap deals with other clubs to create an immediate capital gain. That's because even though you spread out a player's transfer fee over the length of the contract, you can gain the full value of that player you sold on your books that year. The most famous example of this was paying $72 million for Arthur Melo, while Barcelona paid $60 million for Miralem Pjanic. Fans balked at the valuations. So even though only $12 million of cash was actually exchanged, it enabled both clubs to post a capital gain on their outgoing player.
Now we are getting into some serious legal consequences, because next up we have Manchester City. From 2011 to 2023, they won the Premier League 8 times and the Champions League once, but now there are 115 charges against them for breaching FFP during that span.
Basically, Man City is spending more than anyone in the league. So by the rules, they have to earn that amount of money, which they do through sponsorship deals.
The only problem is they're receiving inflated sponsorship deals from companies owned by, oh, that's so interesting, the same people that own Manchester City.
Pay yourself $60 million for stadium naming rights, book it as legitimate revenue. UEFA's own experts said some deals were worth 3 times less than what City claimed.
Speaking of putting money into your own pocket, Chelsea, Aston Villa, and Everton, they all sold their women's teams to the highest bidder, themselves.
Technically, the teams were sold to a different company. It just so happened both companies had the same owner. Chelsea did it for a whopping £200 million, leading to instant profit, all within the PSR rules.
So what were the consequences for all this? Well, I can assure you the richest and most powerful clubs were held accountable. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Chelsea faced no consequences for their amortization play, but a new rule was created to cap amortization at 5 years. Plus, they were recently fined for the practice of selling entities to their own subsidiaries. Meanwhile, Juventus initially got hit with a 15-point penalty for creative player swaps, but that was reduced to just 10 points on appeal and a 1-year ban from competing in Europa competition. As another consequence, the entire board of directors resigned. Womp womp. Hey, can you guys add the sound effect where I did the womp womp? That's gonna work. Womp womp. Okay, but here's the big one. Manchester City gets a 2-year European ban from UEFA, but is overturned by the court. Their 115 charges from the FA are still ongoing after several years. At the same time, smaller clubs like Everton and Nottingham Forest received immediate points deductions for going over their spending limit. So the question is, why do some clubs get docked points for a clear breach while others can afford years of legal battles? The rules were designed to bring parity, but so far it seems they have only cemented the power of the wealthiest clubs.
Because of all this, and trust me, much more, UEFA is rolling out some new rules. The squad cost ratio. Instead of looking backwards at profits and losses, they're capping what you can spend on player wages and transfers at 70% of your revenue. No more accounting tricks, no more shady valuations, no more 9-year contracts gaming the system. It's simple math that's harder to manipulate.
So the next time you see a massive transfer, remember, behind every signing is an accountant with a model, trying to make the math work within the rules that were designed to save football spending from itself. Right now, it feels like in football, the most important position isn't striker or goalie, it's chief financial officer. So before you hit the free agency market, you might want to check out LinkedIn. Hey, there are always more secrets hidden on the ledger. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and know accounting tricks before the casuals find out, make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you next episode for another round of sports accounting secrets.